For the first 30 seconds, imagine this as a fast-moving overview of everything you are about to discover. Because in this video we are going to reveal why Tetris quietly became one of the most addictive games ever created, how a simple puzzle of falling blocks managed to rewire the human brain, why scientists, psychologists, and gamers all agree that it is dangerously satisfying, how it escaped the Cold War to conquer the world, why you still see the shapes when you close your eyes, and how a game with no story, no characters, and no ending somehow became eternal, unforgettable, and nearly impossible to put down once you truly start playing. Tetris looks innocent at first glance, almost harmless, with its clean shapes, calm music, and simple goal of fitting blocks together. Yet from the moment the first piece falls from the top of the screen, something strange happens inside your brain, because your mind instantly switches into problem-solving mode. Your focus sharpens, time begins to blur, and suddenly 5 minutes quietly transforms into an hour without warning. The genius of Tetris begins with its simplicity, because there are only 7 shapes, known as tetraminos, and yet those 7 shapes are enough to create an infinite number of possibilities, which tricks the brain into believing that the next move will always be more satisfying than the last, creating a loop of anticipation, action, reward, and regret that keeps players saying just one more game even when they know they should stop. Unlike most games, Tetris does not rely on complex rules, detailed tutorials, or long explanations because within seconds anyone can understand how it works. And that instant accessibility removes the mental barrier that usually stops people from fully committing, allowing players of all ages and skill levels to fall directly into the addictive cycle without resistance. One of the most fascinating reasons Tetris is so addictive is something psychologists call the Zeigarnik effect, which is the brain's tendency to remember unfinished tasks more strongly than completed ones, and since Tetris is literally a game about never finishing, with pieces that never stop falling and levels that never truly end, your brain stays permanently engaged, always feeling like the puzzle is incomplete and demanding your attention. This is also why so many players experience what is known as the Tetris Effect, a real psychological phenomenon where people begin seeing falling blocks in their dreams, imagining shapes fitting together in real life, or mentally rotating objects as if the world itself had turned into a puzzle, which proves just how deeply the game embeds itself into the human mind. The pacing of Tetris is another secret weapon, because the game starts slow enough to feel comfortable and welcoming, then gradually increases speed so subtly that you barely notice the pressure rising. And by the time your heart rate increases and your hands start moving faster, your brain is already fully invested and refuses to quit while it still believes success is possible. Tetris is also brutally fair, because when you lose, you know exactly why it happened. There is no enemy to blame, no unfair mechanic, no bad luck excuse that fully satisfies, which creates a powerful urge to immediately try again and prove to yourself that you can do better next time. The sound design and music play a surprisingly massive role in the addiction, because the iconic theme creates a rhythmic flow that syncs with your movements, subtly encouraging you to keep stacking pieces in time with the melody, while the simple sound effects provide instant feedback that reinforces every correct placement like a tiny reward. What makes this even more impressive is the fact that Tetris was not originally designed to be addictive at all, because it was created by a Soviet engineer experimenting with computer puzzles, yet its accidental perfection turned it into a global phenomenon that crossed political borders, cultural differences, and language barriers with ease. Unlike modern games filled with notifications, microtransactions, and endless updates, Tetris relies purely on human psychology, exploiting our love for order, our fear of chaos, and our obsession with efficiency, as every perfectly cleared line feels like restoring balance to a world that is constantly threatening to collapse. The lack of a true ending is another reason players stay trapped, because there is no final boss, no credits, and no satisfying conclusion that signals it is time to stop, only a gradual defeat that feels personal, temporary, and fixable, which convinces players that quitting now would be a mistake. Tetris also creates a unique relationship between stress and relaxation, because while the increasing speed raises tension, the act of organizing chaos into neat lines produces calm, placing the player in a rare mental state where anxiety and focus coexist, making the experience oddly soothing and thrilling at the same time. Even watching someone else play Tetris can trigger engagement, because the brain instinctively tries to solve the puzzle alongside the player, mentally rotating pieces and predicting placements, which explains why Tetris remains entertaining even as a spectator experience decades after its release. Another hidden layer of addiction comes from the illusion of control, because players always feel that a better outcome is just one decision away, even when the speed becomes overwhelming, which keeps hope alive far longer than logic would normally allow. Tetris has also survived every generation of gaming hardware because its core design is timeless, meaning the brain responds to it the same way now as it did decades ago, proving that graphics and realism are far less important than perfectly tuned mechanics when it comes to long-lasting addiction. The game subtly trains the brain to crave efficiency, making wasted space feel uncomfortable, and perfect fits feel deeply satisfying, which is why players often describe a strange sense of relief when clearing multiple lines at once, as if they just solved a problem far bigger than the screen itself. What truly elevates Tetris into legendary status is how it adapts to the player, because the difficulty scales based on survival, ensuring that the game always feels challenging but rarely impossible, creating a sweet spot that maximizes engagement without causing immediate frustration. Over time, players develop a personal relationship with the game, remembering their best runs, their near-perfect saves, and the one piece that arrived too late, turning each session into a story created entirely in the player's mind rather than on the screen. Even failure feels productive in Tetris, because every loss teaches something, whether it is better planning, faster reactions, or improved spatial awareness, which makes the brain feel rewarded even when the game ends badly. Tetris does not shout for attention or demand emotional investment through characters or plot, yet it quietly becomes unforgettable, proving that the strongest addictions are often the simplest ones, designed not to overwhelm the senses but to gently hijack the brain's natural instincts. Decades later, Tetris remains undefeated in its ability to pull players into a timeless loop of focus, stress, satisfaction, and hope, reminding us that the most addictive game ever made did not need violence, realism, or endless content, only falling blocks and a perfectly balanced challenge. If you enjoyed this deep dive into why Tetris has such a powerful hold on the human mind, make sure to subscribe to the channel for more fascinating stories about classic games and hidden gaming psychology. Leave a comment sharing your own Tetris memories or high scores, and share this video with someone who still says they will stop playing after just one more game.